there's a bill introduced. Now it's a Democratic bill. Senators Tavares and Skindle have introduced a bill that was actually drafted several years ago, and many of us participated in drafting that bill. It would have created a state exchange for Ohio, somewhat like Kentucky's, which has proven to be so successful. But it was not the will of the leadership at that time to do that. That bill is out there now and is available if people, if the Supreme Court goes what we would consider the wrong way and knocks out the subsidies for federal exchanges, and we would hope that the legislature would act quickly.
But the legislature might be gone by June 30th, which could be about the time that the Supreme Court rules.
That's right.
So should they be looking at that as part of the budget? That's what I'm asking.
We wish they would. We doubt they will. I think is the honest answer to that.
Lisa, did I see in here an additional request for funding for things above what the House asked?
Yes, our request for the 16-17 budget was $20 million per year. That represents 83 cents per person per month served by the Emergency Food Assistance Network. We've experienced a 40% increase in demand. The other thing that I do want to note, that we're dealing with a situation that's completely outside of our control, and in the past 17 months, for Ohioans who are poor enough to qualify for the food stamp program, they've lost over $408 million in 100% federally funded food assistance benefits due to state and federal changes that have affected the program. So the House did provide half of that request. They provided $2.75 million per year, and that brings us up to $17.25 million per year. And we are extremely grateful for the House's leadership on this, and are hoping that the Senate will follow suit, that no one should go hungry in the state of Ohio. I also want to make another note. Col made reference to this. There is a map in your packet today. In our great state, 34.1%. 1 in 3 Ohioans, 3.8 million Ohioans now have incomes at or below 200% of the federal poverty level, and it makes them income eligible for emergency food assistance. That number is up from 3.4 million in 2009, or 30.1%. So we are moving in the wrong direction. Certainly, as Col noted, people working at jobs that do not provide a livable wage.
I might just add to what Lisa said, one quick thing. When you look at the loss of federal funds or federal benefits, the $400 million, it's largely the result of Ohio's decision not to continue a waiver which would have enabled counties to serve our people without dependent children and the food stamp program without their working. And once again, this is a program that isn't providing them assistance to work in any meaningful way. So, frankly. So we think that waiver should have been continued and frankly should be reinstated. But because the benefits to people, to our communities, to our economy, the fact that it's 100% federally funded seems to be pretty persuasive in that point.
I guess with all this in mind, and as the Senate's putting this together, how hopeful are you that these changes can get implemented? Do you know that these amendments have been introduced?
Well, without getting into a laundry list, a number of amendments have been introduced. My understanding is there's 1,500 amendments pending over there, so they've got a lot of work to do. Here's what we really think about this and why we say it's never too late to do the right thing. I think there's a lot of ferment going on now amongst legislators as well as in other quarters about what the right way for Ohio to go is. It goes back to your earlier questions, Joe, about priorities. And, you know, what we believe is that, well, first of all, it's our duty, because of who we are as advocates, as a coalition, to speak to the things that we believe need to be done in order for Ohio to move ahead. And that's what we do. But we think that there are a number of people over there that really want to do those things. And there's some others that don't. And that, I don't think the final act of that play has been written. So we think it's a very propitious time for us to be speaking and to be lending as much oomph as we have to these very critical priorities.
I know you said you don't take a position on the income tax or tax cuts. What is your position on the elimination of some of the exemptions that were provided in Governor Case's budget? I'm speaking primarily about the income tax deductions, I'm trying to come up with that word, for lower and middle income families that they could earn more without having to pay income taxes. That was removed.
It's an interesting question. We strongly support, I didn't mention earlier, in the work support area, what supports families who are working but at very low wage jobs and making nowhere near enough to stabilize, much less reach out and try to grab that next rung on the ladder. The earned income tax credit, the state earned income tax credit is one of those we strongly support. We would like to see it refundable like the federal one is. That would be much more beneficial to people, would cost the state some more money. We would also like to see child care eligibility, not increased, but restored. In 2010, I believe, it was 200% of the federal poverty level to get into child care, which makes a lot of sense. It's a very, very expensive item. So, and then over the recession, it's attrited. It's now down to 125%. The governor has proposed increasing it to 130%, which it goes in the right direction, but is frankly very inadequate. So we would like, we have in fact an amendment in to see that go back to 200 over a period of 4 years by phase-ins.
But you don't have a position on the personal exemptions specifically?
No, actually we don't. I'm sure there's a lot of feeling about them among members, but the coalition has not